Bonjour! I am back from my big trip and I've just compiled a bunch of photographs and videos for you to show you what I did. So I'm going to break this down into 3 different videos because we went to 3 different countries and I feel like that's just too much to pack into one video. So we are doing Paris first, and oh my gosh, Paris, I can't. I love Paris. Everyone says, oh, Paris, it's overrated. It's just another big city. I did not find that to be true, personally. I absolutely loved Paris. The people say that Parisians are rude, and that's just, I did not find that to be true at all. In fact, I found Parisians to be extremely polite and very, kind from the people that I encountered. I realized it's a big city and people compare it a lot to New York. And I've been to New York and the people there are in a hurry. It's a busy city. And yeah, they don't want to stop and tell a tourist where to go or give them directions. But that aside, I mean, it is a big city and people are going about their business and I get it. Like, I don't want to, actually, I would help people because it's just my personality, but I understand the desire to just go about one's life and not have to help tourists find where to go. But I didn't find that to be the case. We didn't really ask for directions a lot because we were using Google Maps and it did a great job for us. We used another maps program that I can't remember the name of at the moment, but there's a ton of apps out there that are really useful for directional purposes, and also like what transportation to use to get to your destination the fastest possible way or the most economic way, whatever. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. And the point is, Parisians are not rude in my experience, and they're extremely polite. The one thing that I had read and heard before I went, and I used and did and didn't have an issue, was when you approach someone in Paris to ask for anything, directions, or, a seat at a restaurant or checking into the hotel, always start the conversation with bonjour. It's that simple. You're just saying hello. You're starting the conversation with hello. You're greeting them. And I think that that's polite. And I think that the reason why people might get a sense that Parisians are rude is because as Americans, we don't necessarily start our conversations with hello, even though we should, because that is the polite thing to do. We usually just say, excuse me, can you help me find blah, blah, blah. And to them, that's extremely rude to not greet them first. Like, they're a human being. Please say hello to me before you request something of me. And that makes sense to me. So I did this the entire time I was there and I never had a problem. Everyone was extremely nice and very helpful when we needed help. And yeah, it was great. Wow, this video is already 3 minutes long and I haven't even started yet. Oh, Paris. Okay, so we arrive in Paris. We decided to stay for 4 days. We arrive at 10 a.m. and we go to check into our first hotel. We checked into 1K Paris in the 3rd arrondissement. So this area is, I think it's La Marais, and I'm butchering these names. I'm so sorry. My French accent is terrible, but this area is really hip. A lot of things to do, restaurants, shopping. The 3rd arrondissement is a great place to stay. We chose to stay in 2 different arrondissements while we were there because we wanted to get a sense of the city and stay in a different place. Not necessary, we just chose to do that. So the first 2 days we were at 1K Paris in the 3rd arrondissement, and it was lovely. The first thing we did basically was check into the hotel and then find a place to go eat breakfast. So we went to Brazo Cafe, and I'm butchering this name, I'm sure. I wrote it down how to spell it. So it is spelled Breizh. Cafe. This place, and I didn't know this, but it's apparently famous and people go there for the crepes, and yeah. So I didn't know that. We just ended up there, which is crazy because I usually do a lot of research, but whatever. The crepes are amazing. I had a buckwheat with an egg and cheese and some meat. I don't remember. It was like pork or something. So good. Oh, I think it was ham, but it's very thinly sliced ham, like prosciutto, like really, really good. The flavor of the crepe, it was so thin and just the flavor was amazing. It was really, really, really good. So I got a picture of that. I did not get a picture of the dessert crepe that we shared that was insanely good. It was not buckwheat. It was like a normal crepe with Grand Marnier and orange peel and something else, like honey or something. It was unbelievable. I wish I would have gotten a picture of it, but I forgot because I was so into it. I also had a cappuccino there. I'm not really a big coffee person, but I was tired from the flight and we needed to last all day. So I thought, oh, I'll just get a cappuccino and that'll be good. It was so good. It was definitely the best cappuccino I've ever had. And I did get a picture of that. So anyway, let's keep going. Here I'm taking you on a room tour of our room at 1K Paris. The hotel itself is really beautiful. The lobby, or the bar area has all of these hanging, plants, and I don't know, it's really beautiful, like tapestries and different things. I loved that. The actual room is, how do I describe it? It's not high end, okay? Like we didn't pay a lot for this room and it shows. And that's okay. Like we're not spending that much time in the room. We didn't need to spend a lot of money on it. But if you're gonna stay at this hotel, just be prepared to realize like it's not the top quality hotel. It's not the highest end hotel, okay? It's like a 3-star maybe. So the hotel room itself has like silver accents, white and silver, and you can change the lighting to different colors. It's a little bit gimmicky, I think, but whatever, it was fine. The bed was pretty comfortable. It is one of those beds that it's split in the middle. So I think all of our beds on our travels were that way. It's a big bed, but it's actually 2 beds pushed together. So there's a crack down the middle. And usually that's okay if the beds are secured together. But in our Copenhagen episode, you'll hear about a hotel that did not secure the beds together. And yeah, you'll have to watch that video to get the story. But anyway, so Paris, 1K Paris, great hotel for that area. The price was amazing, so can't knock that. And we actually used our hotel, like our credit card points for all of our stays. So we essentially got to stay in all of the hotels that we stayed in for what we spend normally on a daily basis. What we do is we have our travel cards and we just pay for things with those cards like we normally do and pay them off every month. So we're using it like we would use cash. Like we're not spending more than we have, but we're getting all of these points to use on travel. And so all of our hotel stays were covered by these points. So definitely recommend getting a travel card. We have the Chase Sapphire Preferred is what we had at one point, and then I think we upgraded to the other one, which is a little bit more expensive as far as the annual fee, but they give you $300 back in travel, and they also give you, I think, they give you lounge access with shoot, why can't I think of these names? I wasn't planning on going into all this. Anyway, I'll go into more of that later, but I highly recommend getting a travel card if you want to travel because there's no reason not to. Because you get great rewards, and as long as you're paying it off every month, there's no interest or downside. Okay, so 1K has a happy hour, and it's not free drinks, but it's discounted drinks, and the hotel bar itself is really cool. They make a lot of their own, it's a mezcal bar, so that's a lot of the alcohol that they serve, and they also make their own infusions, and they make their own mixers. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It's really unique and good. So I'd recommend having a drink in the bar, which we did, and there was some kind of party going on, and they were like, are you with this party? Or like, no. Like, are you guests of the hotel? Like, yes. Like, okay, you're fine. It was weird. But I felt like we weren't supposed to be there, but I don't care because we had drinks and it was great. So then we went to dinner, and we weren't sure where to go. We didn't do a lot of research as far as meals. We just kind of like, hey, let's look at Yelp. We use a lot of different apps to help us. And there's another app called The Fork that is more widely used, I think. But anyway, we ended up at Chez Jeannot, and that, it was such a good, another really good restaurant. And I just recently learned, maybe I'm wrong, but somebody said that that restaurant was featured in the movie Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson. So there's that, I guess. This restaurant was so cute inside, and we actually ended up being seated outside. So we sat at the bar for a short time waiting for a table, and we got a drink, and then we were seated outside, and they had heaters. It was really cool because it was not that warm. It was maybe in the 40s Fahrenheit. And but anyway, it was lovely. I had rabbit, which is very adventurous for me. I don't normally do or eat stuff like that, but that's what looked interesting and good on the menu, so I went ahead and got that. It came with garlic mashed potatoes and green beans and a tomato, which I didn't eat because I don't really like tomatoes that much. And then for dessert, we had like this cheesecake type of thing, but it didn't have a crust, with a raspberry coulis. It was so good. And they also, like, so in Paris, it's really, you just get dessert. Like, that's, if you're going for dinner, you get dessert. And I'm not going to complain about that because dessert there is amazing. Yeah, so we went there. I recommend it. It was a lovely little place. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. The food was delicious. The service was fun. If you choose fromage for dessert, which is cheese, they bring out this whole big block, and you basically cut off the amount that you want. Not really sure how they price that because they're not weighing the piece that you cut. Maybe they just estimate how much you took, but yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Oh, they also serve they're known for the dessert. It's like all you can eat chocolate mousse, and it comes in this huge like excuse me, it comes in this huge like soup thing with a spoon. It's a massive amount. I cannot imagine, like, if you had 10 people, I can see getting this dessert because it's definitely priced right for how much you get, and it's all you can eat, so you can refill, you can get more. But we didn't choose to do that because there's only 2 of us, and there's no way we could have even made a dent in that dessert. Yeah. So, and I heard that it was kind of like, it's kind of a funny gimmicky thing, but the mousse was just chocolate mousse, which we've had. So, but if you like chocolate mousse, hey, go for it. Sorry, this video is so long and I haven't even covered half of what we did. So some pictures of just the streets of Paris, so beautiful. We went to this little market that is famous. I forgot how you say it in French, but it's basically the Red Children's Market for whatever reason, but it's just a normal market with like fruits and vegetables and meat and different restaurants. Really cool. For another breakfast, we went to a boulangerie. Super tiny, long line, so worth it. It's called Du pain et du idées, which is bread and ideas. So that's where we went. I'll try and link all the places that we went in the description. So if you're interested in going there or seeing what they have, you can go to their link. I'll try, but I'm not making any promises, but check if you're interested. The best thing there was the pistachio and chocolate escargot. It's not actually snails. It is a pastry with this like pistachio cream and chunks of chocolate. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So the other things that we had a chocolate croissant, and that was good. Honestly, like it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't as good as the pistachio, so I would recommend that. And the other thing we had was like this twisted pastry that was sugary and buttery, and that was really good too. Every pastry we had in France was amazing. But my favorite was probably the pistachio and chocolate escargot. So recommend that. We explored different parks, and there was this really cute moment with this father and his sons playing with his kids, and they were throwing sand at him. It was really adorable. It was nice to just sit in the park and watch the world happen. We ended up in this courtyard that was really beautiful, and there was some sculptures in there that I think were on a building at one point, and then they must have fallen off, or they took them off and then they just put them in this courtyard. There was a small Christmas market. We didn't really experience a lot of Christmas markets in Paris. We didn't find many. That wasn't really our focus. There's so much to do there. But we did happen across, we searched out this one, and it didn't have much up yet, but it did have this, a few shops, and one had raclettes, which I guess isn't French, but who cares? Basically what they do is they have a cheese wheel, and it's cut in half and sitting and being heated up constantly. And they take a baguette and slice it down the middle. They take a knife and scrape all the melted cheese off the top of the cheese wheel and put it on the bread. And then you can top it with meat. Oh, so good. Like this melted cheese and meat on a baguette. Oh, it was so good. I highly recommend getting one of those. And I don't think it's just a Christmas thing. I think you can get it any time of the year. It just depends on where you go. So find it, because it's amazing. I just love it. So we need to go a little bit faster here. I wrote notes down because we did so much. It's hard for me to remember everything. Oh, we went to this church near the place that we got the raclette. It's like near this huge shopping mall that was kind of underground, and it had this huge Christmas tree. But anyway, this church nearby, so beautiful, huge, humongous. Like the ceilings were 100 feet tall, I think. And they were doing some restoration, which was really neat to watch. It was open to the public, and then there's this really cool sculpture outside that I took a bazillion pictures of. Really, really, really neat. We also saw, kind of near our hotel, was the Place de Bastille, and that I'm probably saying it wrong, but basically the Bastille was a big fortress, and during the French Revolution, it played a role in that. I can't remember. I'm sorry. My history is not great. And then now there's a tower there, a little, what am I trying to say? It's a little tower. And that was kind of cool to see. I should read up on the history of it, because to me, it was just this column with a thing on top. Pretty. I took pictures of it, but Don't really know what's behind it. So, and then we saw Notre Dame. You couldn't go inside still because they're still fixing it from the fire. It's all surrounded by fencing, so you can't go get close to it even. But I was able to take a few pictures, and it looks like they're making some progress. So it looks like maybe by next year, like next year this time, they might have it to the point where they won't have the fences up anymore. I'm not sure. But it looks like they're making progress, so that's good. We saw this beautiful little park by the Seine, and nobody was there. It was raining a little bit, but not too bad. And the trees, the leaves on these trees were still green, and it was the end of November at this point. So it was really pretty. I don't know. We went to, So that evening we decided we were going to go to this restaurant because I really wanted to go to a Michelin-starred restaurant while we were in Paris, because I've been to Michelin-starred restaurants before, but this one had a prefix menu and it wasn't a ridiculous price. It was still expensive, but it wasn't like out of our range. So I decided to make a reservation for that before we left. So I did that. And, oh my gosh, I'll get to that restaurant in a minute, but it was in the 18th arrondissement. And so we decided to visit Sacré-Cœur, which is the cathedral on top of the hill in the 18th. And we didn't get to go inside because we didn't have time. And I don't think it was open at the time, but it was at night. So we got a really pretty view of the city, and Sacré-Cœur itself is a really beautiful building. There's a ton of people up there. But let me just tell you that you have to climb a ridiculous amount of stairs to get up there, or, which we didn't know about, there is a little tram, and I forgot what it's called, but it goes up the hill for you. So if I had known about that, I would have taken that up, but I didn't. So be smarter than me and figure that out before you go, or you can get some exercise, because there are some serious stairs going up to Sacré-Cœur. Worth it though, totally worth it, I think. So then we go to this restaurant. It is called Table De Eugene. Again, I'm butchering it, but it's basically Eugene's Table. Really fancy, tiny restaurant. There were probably 8 tables maybe, a really small space. And they only have 2 seatings every night. So you're either in the first seating or the second seating. We were in the second seating, and they just bring you food. You can choose between 5. You can choose either five courses with or without wine, or 8 courses with or without wine. We chose 8 courses without wine, and then we got wine a la carte. I think we had 2 different glasses. And I discovered I like wine in France. I don't really like wine in the US. I haven't found a wine here that I enjoy, but in France, I will drink the wine. It could be the romance of being in Paris, that I just enjoyed it there, or it could be that they just have better wine. I don't know. Or maybe a little of both. So this restaurant, I can't describe, like, the food was insane. Every dish that they brought was better than the last dish. They had 3 amuse-bouche. So if you know what that is, that's like amusing your palate before the meal. And I don't think that was considered a course, I think. So there were 3 tiny amuse-bouche, and my favorite one was this. They brought it in this little bowl of coal, and it just looked like more coal. I couldn't tell it's hard to tell what is food and what is coal, but it was basically a little fritter. And it must have been made with charcoal to make it black, but it tasted so good, just bursting with flavor. Oh, it was really, really good. And then they had this little cracker with something creamy on it, and that was good. And this soup, I don't even remember what was in it, but it was really, really, really good. Like every course was amazing, a work of art, and delicious. And then at the very end we basically got 3 desserts, because at the very end the last dessert was this chocolate ball that they poured warm chocolate over and it melted, and underneath was this like crispy thing.
So say it directly to the guy.
I did. Oh, to the guy
That's
getting it?
yeah.
I don't, he wouldn't share that it was exactly the reason. He sort of
Yeah,
gave
but
his
you have a
vague stuff.
feeling.
Oh, it's too complicated.
That was exactly what we ate with.
I recommend going to a really fancy restaurant in Paris because they just know how to do it. And this one in particular is really great because the price is not out of control. Like some restaurants, you're going to pay 450 euro per person for your prefix menu without wine. So our 8-course menu per person was 130 euro without wine. Like, I know it's still expensive, but it's way better than 450 euro per person. So depending on what's in your price range, I just recommend doing a little bit of research and choosing a really nice restaurant if you go, because why not? Okay, I need to get to it because there's still a lot more to talk about. So the second hotel that we stayed at was in the second arrondissement, and it was right near the Louvre, like 2 blocks away, maybe 1 block away. It was really, really close. And we got a really great deal on it. It's called Drawing Hotel. And again, the hotel was nice. It was probably my favorite hotel out of all the places that we stayed. But again, it was probably a 3-star hotel. Not super high end, but nice. I liked it. We didn't eat breakfast at any of the hotels that we stayed at, so I can't speak to those. The hotel, Drawing Hotel, was across from this place called Katawari Ramen. And when we checked in, the line, it was probably 11 a.m. and the line was already really long to get in. So we were like, oh, why don't we try this for lunch? The line seems to be long. People seem to like it. So we stood in line for probably an hour to get ramen, and it was really good. Like, it was good ramen, so I can't be mad about it. And a cool thing about this restaurant was the creator wanted you to feel like you were in a Japanese fish market, and so the sounds playing over the loudspeaker are of a real Japanese fish market, and they have all this different paraphernalia of a fish market, so you really feel like they went into serious detail. There's lots of just little things all over the place that make you feel like you're really there. So that was cool. I recommend all the places that we went, basically. I don't know, there might be a few places that I'd be like, meh, you don't have to go there. Then we visited the Eiffel Tower because you have to when you're in Paris. And to me, it is worth it. We didn't go up in the Eiffel Tower. We kind of tried to look and see if we could do it, but I highly recommend buying tickets ahead of time because I think they only allow a certain number of people to go up every day. And we couldn't do it. So we didn't, and I don't feel like I really missed out because we did do other things that I'll get to in a minute. But seeing the Eiffel Tower was great. I got pictures from tons of different angles, and I don't remember what time it starts, but every hour they have a show, like a light show of the Eiffel Tower, and it's sparkly and pretty, and that was nice. That was fun. So Eiffel Tower, then we went to the Catacombs in Paris. And a lot of people that I've spoken to didn't realize that Paris had catacombs, and they do. They're amazing. I recommend it. We didn't have to stand in line for a very long time. It was a little bit creepy, but we got the audio guide, which I think helped on the creep factor because we were getting the history of why the bones were there. So we weren't just walking through dark halls full of bones without any reference point, because that would be super creepy. But yeah, the catacomb tour was super cool. I really recommend it. And I don't like creepy things. So if I'm recommending it, you know it's not that creepy. And then the gift shop at the end has some really interesting things that are different. It's not like an Eiffel Tower statue or whatever. So then in the metro, I think this was all in the same night. We did a lot in the same night. In the metro, on the way to, I think this was on the way to the Arc de Triomphe. There was this guy playing the violin, so I filmed him, and it was really nice. It was fun. So then the Arc de Triomphe, it's right on the Champs-Élysées, which is a street, very wide, very popular, goes around the Arc de Triomphe in the traffic circle. Really beautifully decorated for Christmas. We went up in the Arc de Triomphe, and I recommend doing that. Really cool. There are no elevators. You have to take the stairs. I think it's 280 steps. So it's not a joke. You have to go up a lot of steps. We did all of this in the same night, I think, and the catacombs had a lot of steps too. So yeah, you're going to be walking a lot, and that's okay. My feet hurt a lot, but it was worth it. Yeah, you get an amazing view of the Eiffel Tower and the city. So to me, like, going up in the Arc was better than going up in the Eiffel Tower, because all of my pictures have the Eiffel Tower in them, which if I was in the Eiffel Tower, you wouldn't have the Eiffel Tower in your pictures. So that's just a recommendation. And it wasn't very expensive to go up. I can't remember how much, but it was under 10 euro to go up per person. Then we went to the Louvre the next day. The next day we went to the Louvre. And the Louvre, I mean, what do you say about that? Like, it's a lot. We only spent, I think we spent 3 or 4 hours there. And at that point, my feet were hurting so much. It was the 3rd or 4th day, I can't remember. And I was exhausted. So I had to take a lot of breaks. But what a place to take breaks. I mean, you've just got art everywhere. We did go to the Mona Lisa room. And if one thing is super overrated that we did, it's that, because everybody tells you it's really small, but it is so small. This picture is like, it's probably 24 by 18, something like that. I don't know, 15. It's small. And you've got 1,000 people in this room trying to see this small, tiny painting on this massive blank wall. It's just a blank wall with this tiny portrait on it. And yeah, I mean, we did it. It's fine. But the more interesting thing was watching the people that wanted to see this painting than seeing the painting itself. And I also think it's funny that on the opposite wall of the Mona Lisa is this enormous, very detailed, impressive painting that takes up the entire wall, and nobody's looking at it. I wouldn't say nobody, maybe 5 people are looking at it, and the other 400 people in the room are looking at the Mona Lisa. It's just interesting to me that this one painting is so famous, but so tiny and not that impressive, to be honest. Let's see, what else? Oh, some more food things. Okay, so I think this was the last night that we were there. I wanted to try different macarons because I love them and I've tried to make them. And so I picked 2 different places that I was going to get them from and test them out. So Louvre is one of them, and they are pretty famous for their macarons. And then Pierre Hermé, who used to work for Louvre, and then he branched out on his own and started doing his own thing. They're both good, but Louvre is way better, like way better in my opinion. Their strawberry candy macaron was my favorite. It had like a marshmallow filling, and it just made the texture really, really great. So I recommend getting those because they were really yummy, and I got them at the airport on the way back home so that I could enjoy them at home. The problem is they only last like 4 days in the fridge, so I gotta eat them right away, but so delicious. We went to this place called Victoires. It's this little like kind of divey restaurant. I really wanted to try escargot because I'm in France and that's one of the things that they eat there, and I was kind of nervous because I've just heard the texture is like balloon, and I was nervous. Let me tell you that escargot is actually really, really, really good, and you should try it. So the first one I had was kind of big and a little bit earthy, but the flavors that they cook the escargot in, it's like garlic, parsley, butter. It was so good. And then there's like the leftover butter that you put on bread. It was really, really good. We got 6 and we both had 3. Oh, one of them we couldn't get out, so I only had 2. And I wanted more, which is insane. I never thought I would say that about escargot. So Victoires, they know what they're doing. It was really nice. It was a quiet little restaurant and the servers were nice. It was good. It was really good. I would recommend it. And then the last 2 places I'm going to talk about, we went to this place called the Experimental Cocktail Club, and it's this cute little hidden away bar on this quiet street in Paris. You would never guess it's there, and they have really cool, interesting, innovative cocktails. The staff are really cool. They were playing like early 2000s pop. That was fun because that's like the songs of my youth. And it's a really small place. There's not a lot of space, but I would recommend going there because it's just a good time if you want a nice night out with some good drinks and not a lot of pressure. Highly recommend. So then the next day, it was time to move on to the next country, and we wanted breakfast before we headed to the hotel, so we just stopped at this little place near Drawing Hotel, and I can't believe it, but I forget what it's called. It was good. It wasn't like worth going to, so I'm not gonna, like, you could go to any bakery and it's basically the same. But we got like a grilled croissant sandwich and a coffee. And that was a nice little end to our trip in Paris. If I would recommend doing one thing in Paris, I would go to the Catacombs, 100%. Such an interesting experience. And eat lots of bread and cheese because yum. And try escargot. I hope you had fun going on this little adventure with me. I'm sorry this video is so long. I really appreciate you watching, and subscribe and like because it helps me out and I appreciate it. I'll see you next time for the next country. The next place we went was Copenhagen, so tune in for that. Thanks so much and have a good night. Bye.